2020 Kawasaki W800 Review, Retro Motorcycle. We asked for it, and we got it. Hot on the heels of last year's Kawasaki W800 Cafe, we get the 2020 Kawasaki W800, the standard version of the authentically retro motorcycle with roots in the 1960s. The 2020 Kawasaki W800 evolved from the W650, which was produced from 1999 to 2007. The W650's inspiration came from the 1966 Kawasaki W1, which featured a parallel twin four-stroke power plant design patterned after the BSA A7. A long-forgotten footnote in the Kawasaki pedigree: the company first established its performance reputation with two strokes in the 1960s and 1970s. The W series revival is one worth embracing. Extensive testing of the new W800 tells us precisely what the latest QBA is all about. The primary differences between the standard 2020 Kawasaki W800 and the Cafe version are the handlebar and the seat. The W800 Cafe has a lower, sportier handlebar, in a nod to its name. The standard W800 handlebar delivers a fully upright seating position. The Cafe has a fancy two-tone sculpted seat to secure the rider in place, while the standard W800 gets a roomy tuck-and-roll seat that leaves plenty of room for movement by the rider and passenger. If you'd like, the Cafe seat is a direct bolt-on for the W800, so feel free to mix and match for a custom look and different feel. Thanks to the upright bars and flat seat, the Kawasaki W800 earns its chops as the consummate city motorcycle. The ergonomics and comfort establish the W800 as an ideal motorcycle for tooling around town, enjoying the attention of vintage styling without the hassles of a 55-year-old machine. With great ergonomics, the fantastic motor is simply the icing on the red velvet cupcake. Stylistically patterned after the bevel drive Ducati singles of the 1960s, the W800's engine does use a bevel system to drive the vertical twins SOHC, 8-valve head. Along with flawless fuel injection, these are nods to modern performance expectations. The result is a gently arcing torque curve from below 2000 rpm, peaking at about midway to the 7000 rpm rev limit. That matches the fully linear power delivery to make the W800 perfectly suited to exploring urban areas. Simply twist the throttle and away you go at an entirely predictable and friendly pace. With a sweet complement of vibrations, Kawasaki could have named this motorcycle the Magic Fingers. The twin's 360-degree crank doles out a comforting array of vibrations as you run through the rev range. Riding the W800 is genuinely a wonderful visceral experience. Kawasaki outfitted the W800 with a modern transmission. Although it only has 5 speeds, the W800 gets by with wide ratios to match its broad power band. Shifting is slick, and the clutch has a torque assist function to keep the feel at the lever nice and light. A slipper function is present, though you really have to botch some downshifts to need it. As a bonus, Kawasaki's positive neutral finder makes putting the transmission in neutral a breeze at every stop. It's easy to get used to and appreciate. Better than vintage, though not up to fully modern standards, the non-adjustable suspension is adequate for the motor and the rest of the chassis. Action is fairly rudimentary with the traditional fork and twin shock, which does have spring preload adjustment to accommodate a passenger. Neither end stands out as particularly, though you will feel the road a bit more than you probably prefer, especially in a city such as Los Angeles, with its deteriorating infrastructure. Those are authentic vintage wheel sizes on the 2020 Kawasaki W800, and that's both good and bad. The 19-inch front wheel gives you the look you want on a vintage motorcycle, and brings with it the benefits of light steering and the ability to roll over road hazards. Paired with the 18-inch rear hoop, the wheels raise the W800's center of gravity, and neither Dunlop K300 GP is especially wide. Of course, in urban areas, agility trumps stability, and that's another reason to love the W800 when tooling from the darkness at the edge of town to the bright neon lights on Broadway.